right before we started recording, I finished my very first player raid on Escape from Tarkov, which this has nothing to do with Dragon Ball Z, but I forgot to tell you before we started recording.
Okay, yes. Yeah.
I was scared the whole time, and I don't think I've ever gotten the sense of, like, when you're a kid and when you go camping and you're kind of wandering around the campsite, I would get lost. This happened a couple times when I was growing up, and the feeling of being lost in the woods is unlike any kind of, it's inexplicable. Your literal compass turning in your head, trying to figure out where you are. And I don't think I've ever played a video game before that's replicated that feeling as well as Escape from Tarkov, because there's no map, there's no compass unless you equip one, which I didn't have one. There's no HUD really, like there's nothing.
Mhm.
It was horrible. I mean, it was good in terms of the video game because it's such a unique experience that I definitely want to do it again.
Mhm.
But like, yeah, I've never felt that in a digital, virtual way.
Huh, would you say it elevated the experience for you?
Yeah, it kind of adds to it. It adds sort of a frantic, stressful sort of, I got to figure out where I am and where I'm going before I get shot and have to heal myself or try to get better before like you die. Because you can just bleed out in that game. Like death is slow, or at least it can be. Like you get away with a lucky scrape and you'll still die 10 minutes later because you're just bleeding out. But I didn't end up finding anybody. I heard firefights and I decided not to go to them. And like for some miraculous reason, I was able to find my way to the smuggler's boat in this particular level. That was the way out for me.
Oh, yeah.
So I grabbed a couple things and I made my way there and I found it, and it was great. Like it only took about 10 minutes, but it felt a lot longer just because I was so lost and confused and on my own. Like there was nobody to hold my hand. And even though I had a map on my second monitor, it was crazy. Like it was a really unique video game thing.
You're recommending Escape from Tarkov is what I'm understanding here.
I mean, I played it for a total of maybe 30 minutes. So I don't know if I have the capability of doing that, but it's unlike anything I've ever played and entirely unrelated to anime or Dragon Ball Z.
It really has nothing to do with Dragon Ball Z or anime whatsoever. You know what? This podcast is going to eventually just turn into us talking about our day.
Oh,
Because one day we will run out of Dragon Ball stuff to talk about.
yeah, there is a finite amount.
There is. So let's say we keep doing this. 5 years in, we've done GT. We've done, I don't really know if I want to do the original series. If I'm
I know,
being
I was
honest
thinking
with you
about
right
that
now. Like, I just don't. And maybe some other folks will change my mind. But right now, I'm not feeling that. So we do that. We've done all the movies. We could do Super. I would love to do Super. So let's say it's 5 years down the line. We've done Super now. Okay, so we did all those. Now what the fuck? What do we do? Let's talk about what we're doing today. Well, today I ate a banana and then I cooked up some chicken sausage.
The point is, I think that we need to sort of vaccinate our listening audience to the fact that at some point there will be just us talking to each other for an hour. The way we do that is not talking about Dragon Ball Z for the first 5 minutes of our podcast about Dragon Ball Z.
That's the secret. You didn't know that, but we've been conditioning you this whole time to get ready to just hang out with us for an hour to an hour and a half.
Yeah. What are you going to do about it? Stop listening? I don't think so.
Yeah, well, they could just do that. It's so easy. Just, oh, really? That's your plan? Fuck this. And then bounce out.
I'm
I mean,
out.
and then they'll go listen to whatever Jeremy Draws Dragon Ball Z, which is a much far superior podcast that I've just invented in my own head. So
Why would that be superior if you're listening to somebody drawing on paper?
it's an ASMR thing.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, you just listen to the pencil on the paper.
Yeah, and the eraser.
Ooh.
Ooh.
That honestly feels so soothing. Just imagine that.
And then at the end, you have like a picture of Goku.
But all you hear is just the pencil against the paper, and it's so soothing. But instead, last time on Eric Hates Dragon Ball Z, we talked about the final devourment Cell had on Android 18, and now he's perfect, and here we are, this time on Eric Hates Dragon Ball Z. Ow.
Yeah, you clipped there, didn't you?
Let me see. Hang on. No, yeah, I did.
It sounded like you did, even from my perspective.
It wasn't as bad. The waveform only peaks above 0 decibels when I screamed last. So
okay. That's not bad. That's not
we're
bad.
good. And
All
if I
right.
do my job as an audio editor, you won't know.
Welcome to Eric Hates Dragon Ball Z. I'm Spencer.
I'm John.
And today we're going to be going over episodes 160 and 165 of Dragon Ball Z. Yes, that's right. We are going over 6 episodes today. That'll bring us to the end of the Cell Saga.
There could be some confusion as to when the Cell Saga actually ends, because I ran into this. Could you help some of our listeners understand why we're ending it here?
Yeah, once upon a time, they made DVDs of Dragon Ball Z, and they had to make a decision about when the next season started. They decided that episode 165 was the end of the Cell Saga, the beginning of the Cell Games Saga. If you don't know what that means, we'll get into it a little bit later. And that's the definition that we're going with. There's a lot of confusion amongst the internet fans, especially as it took so many years to get to the English dub, the official release. Television works differently in Japan, so there was no like episode season breaks. And obviously manga is just, I don't know how they break that off. It's just a book at a time. Yeah.
To week until the artist decides this is the end of my arc or something. Yeah. We should really do some research before we start talking about these things. Because
it's funny that you say that, John, is because if you toss a few bucks to our Patreon page, we'll be able to afford.
Yeah, I will put money in your pocket to do research for me. Actually, can I just do that? So that I don't have to think about anything. I'll just send you money directly.
That's literally the basis of our entire economy of humans as a whole since the beginning of time. I will give you something you want so that you do something I don't want to do.
Does it have to be money?
Not necessarily.
What will you accept? Coupons?
For what?
I don't know. Whatever comes in my junk mail, like clams and shit. I don't know.
No, probably not. You get clam coupons in your junk mail?
I don't know. I don't look at it. It's junk mail. I don't know what's in there. It could be free money that they are printing for me and I'm just putting in the trash. I don't know.
Hey, John, you ignored our last 43 envelopes of free cash, but we thought we'd send one your way anyway. Episode 160.
Thank you. I didn't have anything else.
The Japanese title is Battle Power Infinity, Birth of the God of Destruction named Cell.
Really?
The American title is, really. The American title is Cell is Complete. I know, it's weird, right?
Wow, that's so many things are wrong with that. Battle Power Infinity. And then Birth of the God of Destruction named Cell.
Yeah.
Wow, that was probably really confusing. My episode title is Catharsis for Crying Gohan. Finally, 160 fucking episodes into this shit, and we finally get it.
This episode opens with the world ending. It reminds me a lot of the scenes where Namek was being destroyed by Frieza, except it's on Earth.
Yeah, so the thing that happened last time was Cell absorbed 18 and is now transforming to Perfect Cell.
And he transforms for half of the episode.
So long. It is the longest transformation, and also one of the most beautiful ones. In my opinion, like
what the hell do you mean by that?
I mean, nothing about Cell is beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean the actual process of Cell being enveloped by this teal and swirling black energy that is both ominous and glowing and powerful, and the sky is dark and cracking with lightning, and these huge water spouts form all over the planet. It's really saturated and amazing, but wow, if you have epilepsy, don't watch this episode.
Yeah, there is a couple scenes in the next few episodes that like it even got to me.
It's insane, and it's the flashing green and white, so it'll hit you if you got the lepsy.
The cool thing is, like, anybody that has that condition can safely listen to our podcast and still get all the Dragon Ball Z goodness if they've been afraid to approach it.
That's true, which I don't blame you for. This show is a red and green flashing nightmare sometimes.
Yeah, it really is. So everybody's freaking out.
Yeah.
Vegeta is the only one that's not, and he's super happy.
It's flashing to everybody's faces, and Krillin's freaking out, and Trunks is freaking out, and they're all open-jawed, and 16 with half his head is gone is freaking out. And every time it cuts to Vegeta, he's just smirking, like, I did this. This was me. He's such a prick.
He really is. And Trunks is like traumatized by all of this. He's convinced that this is all happening again. History's repeating itself. The world is doomed, and it's like his fault. He came back in time to try to stop this, and he's failing. So he like charges in to this energy bubble that's forming on this island where Cell is still in transformation mode. He gets close enough that I don't know what happens.
Trunks tries to punch the transforming Cell. The transforming Cell screams in his energy bubble, and it comes out sounding like modulated Darth Vader. Weird.
Yeah, it's like a ghost face that appears inside the bubble in the shape of Cell's face. It's really strange.
And then it knocks Trunks back, and that's the whole thing. Really.
That's the whole thing.
But the way it's presented is very confusing. So I know what you mean. It's weird.
It's like he's in a cocoon, but
kinda.
One that he's like physically aware of and still can interact with the world at large. It's very strange.
Yeah.
Kami House gets slammed by a tidal wave. Literally, it just envelops the entire island for a second. And we go into the house and see that they're trying to leave to somewhere safer, but they're now in a flooded house. Chi-Chi's holding on to an umbrella inside, which is very funny. Oolong is stuck in a suitcase. Yamcha is using a pump, like an actual pump inside the house to try to bail out bail the water out of the house from the window.
As Master Roshi holds the door back, which is just covered. It like water is coming in through the cracks. He's holding the door back.
It's insanely cartoony.
It is. It's some of these weird back and forths to the cartooniness of Dragon Ball Z back to the seriousness are almost too jarring for me, but they are so much better than every other one in the past sagas that we've been through that I am totally cool with them.
Yeah, I think we've just been moving along the spectrum, right? Like you have like cartoony humor to world-ending seriousness, and we haven't gone to the extremes at any point in the show up until now. Like it's always kind of kept a rein on things.
Yeah.
Or at least flashed back to the cartooniness in a more way. Like the range of flip-flopping in these scenes has been getting wider and wider between the two sides. So it's really weird to go from Trunks like super depressed and being like, I use time travel to come back to kill this thing that's going to end the entire world, to Chi-Chi on top of a bunch of floating suitcases with an umbrella inside of a living room.
Yeah, and Oolong pops out of the suitcase and has some of Chi-Chi's panties on his head, and he's like, ha, ha, ha. It's like, it's like, kind of jarring.
It's not the same show, and it's very, it is jarring, for sure.
I love this show. This version of the show, this section that we're in, is the reason I like this show.
Yeah, because I think most of the expansion has come into like the serious, like take your character's development as a real and true thing and not just a cartoon. Like we've been stretching more in that direction, and there's still rubber banding to the cartooniness.
Right.
But the fact that we get so much time in the stuff that actually matters is it makes it a better show.
Yes.
Like it's more entertaining to watch, in my opinion.
Yeah. I believe I made an analogy to like a springboard of suspension of disbelief, and I don't remember what that full analogy was. So I'm just going to use the part that I remember, which is my springboard is like in perfect harmony right now.
Yeah.
Sometimes it gets stretched just a little bit to where it's like, but it's pretty good. It's pretty consistently nice.
That's
so
awesome.
We hit the finality of the transformation.
There's a shot where it just shows the Earth from space. There's a tiny little green glint shining at one of the ends of the Earth, and it's Cell transforming, which is pretty cool.
It's insane. So Cell happens. It's perfect Cell, and that's what he's called. And he is better looking than he ever has looked, I guess.
Perfect Cell, I think, is a character design that everybody saw what Toriyama was doing, and everybody cheered when they saw the final drawing, because he has been used a lot. He's going to be around a lot, and he's one of the most iconic figures next to Frieza.
And
obviously.
Oh my god, okay, I kind of love Perfect Cell. In my memory as a teenager, Cell was my favorite villain, and these 5 or 6 episodes solidified yes.
Yeah, well, Cell just seems like more competent, more intelligent, more...
He's everything.
Like always in control kind of thing.
Cell is like an 8 or 9 villain. Frieza was just spoiled, bitchy child. Cell is competent, universal level threat that is cool and calm, and it's just so nice. I love it.
We cut to the hyperbolic time chamber where Goku and Gohan continue to train. And Gohan doesn't want to stop. He actually goes into a bit of a rant about how Goku is treating him way too nice because, he's Goku's son. If he's ever going to get to the level that Goku wants him to get to, he's going to have to go a lot harder. And so they play catch, which is a nice father-son moment. They toss around the old energy ball.
I don't think they play catch yet. I think that's in the future.
Well, I mean, like,
isn't it?
It might not be for fun right now, but they were tossing an energy ball around. This is a It's a pretty good battle.
Okay, I see what you mean, because they literally play catch in the future, but you were saying they're playing catch as shooting.
Like a metaphorical sort of.
Yeah, I see. That really fucking confused me, because they actually play catch eventually.
I was making a joke.
And I'm dumb and gullible, so I was like, oh, hell.
I like that this scene, Gohan's hair is a lot longer. It shows you that time has passed.
He says, I think Piccolo was right about you, Dad. You're way too gentle with me to train me right. And then he goes, fight me, Dad. And so he does. Goku goes Super Saiyan, which knocks Gohan on his ass. But Gohan's not afraid. He's like, yes, this is what I asked for. I'm ready. And Goku does his thing. The Kamehameha is what it is. He does that.
Yeah. Goku lets loose the blast. It hits Gohan dead on, and Gohan is able to deflect it. He catches it.
He just holds against it. Like, he has his own energy that is holding back Goku's Kamehameha, which is so nice to see Goku's Kamehameha actually striking his son, and his son's actually able to hold it. And it's not the hitting his son part. It's that he's strong enough to hold a real Super Saiyan Goku Kamehameha. He is able to hold it.
Yeah, it's great.
And yeah, Goku was probably still holding back a little bit.
Maybe a little bit. But Gohan does go Super Saiyan himself.
Finally.
Which is pretty freaking awesome.
It's a really good scene.
I think Gohan is like one of the only characters where you get to see the training from beginning to end, and it actually feels earned when it pays off.
Because we've had this build up from the beginning till now, 160 episodes of Gohan being a little bitch. Get in there, get this fight done, Gohan. I can't. He really does go through a little, I've been letting people down my whole...
He remembers all of that.
And he remembers. It's not like he doesn't know. And so that helps propel him into hitting the Super Saiyan, and God damn, it just feels so right. Like, we made it.
It's great.
We made it somewhere.
It makes all those times where you're like, come on, Gohan. It makes all that worth it, because it was building up to something, and it actually had a payoff.
Some of them. I'll say some of them. Because other ones, they like, if I remember right, in the Garlic Jr. saga, he was just like that again for no reason, because it was filler.
Really even count as
I know it doesn't, or it shouldn't, but we had to watch it, so I remember. But it's an interesting parallel. Perfect Cell coalescing and becoming the biggest, baddest thing that we've ever seen, and also Gohan achieving Super Saiyan.
We cut back to Cell for a little bit here, and he's finally like not transforming anymore. He's on the ground. He's ready to do his thing.
Oh yeah, what does he look like? We didn't describe what the man looks like.
I don't even know how to describe it. He looks green. Like he's got some green in there. He's got a little blue face with some purple lines in it.
He's like a humanoid face. It almost looks like a mask, nearly.
It does, yeah.
It's
like a little bit of a masquerade sort of thing.
Yeah. And it's like a almost regalish, handsome face.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
That's a good way of describing it.
Have you ever seen Yu-Gi-Oh? He looks like Maximilian Pegasus's face.
I can see that.
It was weird, but yeah.
His hair, quote unquote, is actually like a bug shell.
This is why I said, what does he look like, Spencer? Because I didn't want to have to try and describe this.
It's really weird. He's got like the purple bulb on top of his head, just like Frieza, except there's like little, like a V shape of green speckled spines coming out of the top of his
it looks
head.
like a tuning fork almost.
It does look like a tuning fork, and he's got a little bit of the shell coming down the back of his neck as well. So at certain angles, it looks like he has a mullet, which is my favorite thing. He's got the bug, sort of the beetle wings, the hard shell covering on his back.
Yes.
Which he uses to like fly and land sometimes. He's also got his tail has been shriveled up so that it just kind of connects with his back. It's just a little, you can just see the stinger popping out the back.
A little nubbin. Just a little outie now.
Nubbin. Yeah. And he looks fit, strong, slender in a way. Like he's got a built shape, but he's not like ridiculously muscly like full form Frieza was.
I would say he looks sharp and deadly.
Yeah. Very tall. He's got long black fingernails.
That's about the only creepy part about him anymore. Like the other forms had creepiness factor. This one seems like all the creepiness has been polished out of it.
Krillin and Trunks are both pissed that this has been allowed to happen.
Yep.
They allowed this to happen in a way. So Krillin goes ham on Cell, tries to punch him with everything he's got. Cell doesn't even like notice. He's like, Cell is inspecting his own body at this point. He's looking at his hands, he's looking at his arms, and Krillin is just whacking him with everything he's got as Cell is doing this. Cell doesn't flinch, doesn't move, doesn't give Krillin any mind. Trunks starts to do the same thing, and Trunks cannot do anything to Cell. The only comment that Cell makes after Trunks and Krillin have been whacking him for about 30 seconds is, yes, that's right, children. Have your fun.
Mm-hmm.
That's all he says. That's it. And it's terrifying.
So good.
Because he knows how powerful he is. Krillin tries to do a destructor disc. He actually pulls it off and it makes a direct hit with Cell.
Right on his neck.
Of course, it does nothing right on his neck.
It's like a water balloon parts right across his neck.
Yeah, exactly. You get little tiny hints of the Cell theme here.
Oh my God. Are we going to talk about the best fucking music in Dragon Ball
really
Z?
Good.
Which
it's
is
really, really, really good.
We'll get there. There's some better sections for it.
Sure. But you get like a little tiny sprinkling of it here. And then he just finally gets sick of Krillin whacking him. So he just kicks Krillin and Krillin basically dies.
That was it. Like he was
with one kick. He's just done.
Which is all that ever should have happened to Krillin. And I'm saying that not because I dislike Krillin, but because it would have stopped Krillin from being embarrassing the last few episodes.
Yeah.
That would have been nice if he was gone instead of embarrassing.
Well, he was embarrassing and now he's gone. And that leads us into episode 161. Japanese title is Super Vegeta in Peril. An absolutely perfect terror closes in. The American title is Vegeta Must Pay.
My title is The Fight of the Century, Vegeta versus Reality.
It starts off exactly where we left. Krillin is on the floor, crippled and almost dead.
He gets up.
He does get up and he
somehow
he says, did someone get the number of that bus?
You know what? That's what I love about Krillin. That part.
He's got the one-liners.
The pluckiness. The pluckiness that Krillin has is, in my opinion, the major redeeming factor of his character.
Yeah. Especially with how horrible he's been lately.
Right,
but,
exactly. So I loved seeing that. It was like, yes, okay, good. Thank you for not being creepy and weird.
Yeah, it's just real Krillin. Cell says, Krillin should feel honored. He's the first one to be touched by my perfect body, which is super creepy and weird. Totally in line with perfect Cell. Trunks gives Krillin a senzu bean, so he's back to normal.
What a waste of a senzu bean.
I mean, you're not wrong,
but in fairness, it's a waste on anyone at this point.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter. Perfect Cell is not a force to be reckoned with. He is the force. He is the reckoning. It's not good for anyone. So Vegeta smirks like the prick that he is and heads down to Perfect Cell. And I don't remember what he says here. I just know that he challenges Cell, but he says, you look like just like a prick. Like, if you made me wait this whole time, I don't know. I'd imagine you'd be cooler looking. You suck. That's what he says.
He says, don't tell me you're satisfied swatting flies like him, referring to Krillin.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, like come get the real meal over here.
Yeah.
Krillin says Vegeta's about to fight it, which I love that Krillin calls Cell an it.
It. Yes.
Yeah. And Cell does a weird Tai Chi thing as he prepares to fight Vegeta in this standoff. And 16 seems to think that Vegeta still has the upper hand in this battle.
That's right. Yeah. 16's eyeball gets the calculations images going on in there. You know what I mean? And says Cell's power went up, but by my calculations, Vegeta has the advantage. And that's when we can get over to Krillin, who says something like, I can tell when somebody was holding back when they hit me. Cell, it was like he breathed and I got knocked over.
Yep.
He is going to kill us all. Is what Krillin is saying. And Krillin's been reading the script for the whole show. So
I love when Krillin has little insights like this, because he's talking to Trunks and he says, Cell's hiding his true power like you. And he's referring to Trunks. So there's a little hint that Trunks has got more up his sleeve than he is than we've seen, which turns into my least favorite part about Trunks' character. But we'll get there in a second.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, we'll get there.
All right. Cell and Vegeta start fighting. And they just go to town on each other.
Well, kind of.
Yeah. Cell pushes Vegeta against a mountain, and Cell punches into the mountain and blasts it with an energy beam and injects it like a turkey full of stuffing.
Yes.
And it just explodes from the outside in. And Vegeta does not move from his spot. Like, he doesn't get blasted away. He just kind of freezes there.
But he does have the face of utter surprise as Cell does this. Like, most likely because Cell, this whole bout, because we just summarized like 3.5 minutes of pretty decent fight animation. Mm-hmm. The whole bout is just Vegeta swinging at Cell and Cell dodging everything, or blocking, but with no effort whatsoever.
And to be fair, like, Vegeta doesn't really get hit that bad either.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Cell wants to. He's just fucking around. He's just toying with them.
Interesting.
Because, well, he absolutely is just getting started. And we'll see in the next episodes what I mean by that. But this is also the episode where we are treated proper to the Cell music tracks, which are fantastic. It's the old school hip hop vibe, and I love it. It's got the deep 808s. It's got the square hammer lead of the synthesizers. Oh, it's so smooth. It's so perfect. I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah, I do too, but I can't describe it in words like that. It just sounds nice.
It feels good. That's all.
It's very different than any other Dragon Ball Z music that we've heard up until this point.
Yes, it's oddly menacing, like old school hip hop.
Yeah, so they fight for a while, then they separate, then they land. There's this wide shot of Vegeta and Cell landing on opposite sides of the island, and they look very stupid. Like it's like somebody cut out a little puzzle piece of their far level of detail models and just kind of lowered them like Poochie going to a different planet. That Simpsons episode.
They do that so much.
I know they do. Yeah, it was just very obvious in that shot. So Trunks explains to Krillin that at some point when he was training with Vegeta, Vegeta stops. He hit a plateau in power. Trunks was able to surpass it. He just kept going.
Yeah, so allegedly Trunks is more powerful than Vegeta is, but he hasn't stepped up to the plate yet.
Yeah. And the question is, why?
Why, Trunks? Why would you not do that?
Why would you do that? So we'll find out in a bit. On Kami Tower, Bulma feels left out, which is kind of funny to me. Yeah. I love whenever we get the little bit of Bulma and Trunks on Kami Tower because it's very relatable.
Yeah, I don't mind. This is the Cell Saga equivalent of cutting back to King Kai and his planet in the Frieza saga. That was really annoying. In this one, it's really welcome.
It's actually fine.
Yeah.
I don't mind any of the diversions that they take us on throughout this saga, actually.
It's because of the pacing. It's paced very well. It feels like proper pacing, I guess.
Yeah.
We do go into the HTC, Hyperbolic Time Chamber. Gohan now has cut hair.
Yeah, he does.
I think Goku said something like, we're going to have to cut your hair because I'm going to lose you in there.
Oh, yeah, that's what I meant to point out that quote. It's just it's a nice little father-son moment.
Yeah,
got there.
These episodes are thick with good stuff. So we're going to end up forgetting some things. Okay, and help me out with this. Is this Teen Gohan? Because that's what he's called in all the games, right?
Yes. Yeah, I think it would have to be because there's only... Spoiler, but there's only 10 days between the end of the season and the bulk of the next one. So
right. And even
so he would have to be. Yeah.
And we're going to assume that they've been in the hyperbolic time chamber for like maybe 4 to 6 months.
At least, yeah.
On their timeline. So he's got the now cut hair and it looks pretty badass in Super Saiyan form. Got to give him that. I mean, Gohan's grown up and it's like finally, you're becoming a character that I really enjoy.
Cell and Vegeta fight some more.
I want one day somebody to do a supercut of every time we say character and character fight some more.
It's just so much fighting.
They're really, and it's inescapable. It's Dragon Ball fucking Z. So
yeah,
but I just want to hear it back to back to back to back to back. I want to hear that one day.
I do like the way that this one is laid out because basically it's Vegeta just trying to like catch up to Cell, and Cell stops playing with his food. Kind of toward the end of it, he's just kind of showing off in front of Vegeta. He's faster than he is. He's able to like send a blast flying at Vegeta and then teleport behind him before the blast even gets there. It's crazy stuff like that. Vegeta can't even get a hit in.
And it gets Vegeta really, really pissed off.
He's kind of really mad. It's great.
That feels good. Like, yes, fuck you, Vegeta, you idiot asshole. You did this to yourself. And it also parallels how badly Vegeta was schooling Cell in his second form.
Well, for the most part, I will say that Vegeta doesn't quite eat it in this episode like I thought he would for the episode title. And it kind of ends with Trunks, saying, I didn't step in with this new power because I don't want Vegeta to see because, pride. Vegeta has a lot of pride in who he is, and I didn't want to surpass that, which we'll get into a little bit more in the next episode.
He literally says, my father would rather lose than accept someone's help, and my note is good. Fuck him. Let him get faced.
Exactly. The episode kind of ends there with that reveal that Trunks has been holding back. Episode 162, Japanese title is called Breaking Through the Boundaries of Super Saiyan, Trunks Summons a Storm. And the American title is Trunks Ascends.
My title,
like Trunks' Storm?
No, I liked it a lot. I don't know. I was just imagining what that move would be. And I think he's got a move called Heat Dome, and that's what I imagined.
He's got a move called Heat Dome?
I think it's called Heat Dome or Heat Blast. He uses it in both of the Xenoverse games. It's the most ineffective fucking super because it just fires a beam straight into the air, not at anyone, just direct up. It's the dumbest move. Okay, my episode title is Perfect Villain.
Oh.
And it starts off with some really nice establishing shots of the area where they've been fighting. It's like a pickup episode. If it like they put down the show for a couple weeks and then worked on it again this episode, so they felt the need to reestablish everything again. I don't know. It was just odd that they started off with these establishing shots of the island, of the land, of the planet, whereas the last sets of episodes they just hop right into it. I don't know. Not sure why they're doing that, but it's eventually settles on a very, very unhappy Vegeta standing next to Perfect Cell.
Yeah, Vegeta is very sad.
The reason Vegeta is sad, we didn't mention this. In the last episode, Vegeta finally got a hit on Cell, kicked him in the head, and Cell didn't move at all. It was like if you go outside right now and kick a tree, like a thick tree, that tree's reaction is the same reaction that Cell had to Vegeta.
Yeah.
Where it just doesn't move.
After last time the Vegeta and Cell fought, Vegeta's not happy about it. Finally, Cell decides to hit Vegeta. Vegeta just falls into the water again.
That's right. Yeah, into the
He's
ocean.
just right in there.
Wet Vegeta is becoming a favorite secondary character of mine.
I really like Wet Vegeta. It's not as fun this time around, but you get a lot of points for even trying.
Yeah, it's becoming a thing.
Yeah. Krillin accuses one of the two people fighting that they are an arrogant monster, but I don't know. I literally couldn't tell who he's talking about, if it was Vegeta or Cell.
Yeah, it's a great question. You know what? Krillin in this episode bothers me for a very specific and I believe justified reason. Now that he knows Trunks has been hiding his power, he starts egging Trunks on. Why haven't you been using your power sooner? You could have saved us all. And I'm like, maybe shut the fuck up, Krillin. Like maybe the guy who could have stopped 18 and prevented this whole thing. And again, we talked about how it's Vegeta's fault for sure, but also Krillin didn't help. So maybe don't be the guy to say that. Maybe be the guy to be like, I understand. Be the understand guy instead of the how come you haven't saved everybody guy? Because also you didn't save everybody. That's the problem that I have.
I don't disagree, but I also think that Trunks' reasons.
I'm interested to hear why you don't like them because it makes sense to me. I get it.
I guess it's just so much of a. Okay, so he says basically, I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to disappoint my father. Like Vegeta is all about power, being the strongest, and if I showed him that I was more powerful than him, I don't think he'd be able to take it.
It's a decent speech, honestly. It's like a full
it is
minute long.
Like, yeah, I'm not doing it justice. He makes some decent points about Vegeta's character, but Trunks' entire character is about going back to the past to save the world. And that was his moment to use everything at his disposal to actually fulfill his goal. I understand that he wasn't planning on meeting and talking with his father, but also he didn't bond with Vegeta at all during their year of training. And we know that now. Mm-hmm. And we know that their relationship isn't great. So I don't understand why he's prioritizing Vegeta over the world. And more specifically, like his mom, Gohan, the people that he actually cared about and actually had a relationship about in the future, which we will see more of later on. Mm-hmm. So it's a little confusing to me that all of a sudden he's got this father complex that's coming to light, whereas it didn't seem to bother him as much before. I get it. It makes sense, but it just seems to come out of nowhere.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It should have been set up better. Like there should have been a time, and they do this in Super. Spoilers, Trunks comes back in Super, and they totally do this. But they should have done it here, where Trunks has a couple of sides where he's watching people live their lives, and he starts to feel like he could live here, or he gets a parallel to his past where he's like, I could never fit in here, but he doesn't get that. We didn't explore that at all. We didn't get to see Trunks develop those feelings. So it does feel like out of nowhere, he's just like, I don't want to hurt his feelings. I totally agree with it. It feels like an excuse, not a reason.
Yes, yeah, exactly. It just wasn't earned. It would totally make sense, but you would have to see like their time in the hyperbolic time chamber a little bit more, and there would have to be more fleshed out, like they're doing with Gohan and Goku.
Right.
Like it wouldn't even have to be that long and involved, but like you need some of that if you're gonna suddenly just churn out this reason that Trunks is more powerful and he hasn't done the thing that he literally came here to do.
Right.
Literally bent the laws of physics to do.
And especially after the flashback that we got where Trunks is looking at his own past a couple episodes ago and thinking about, oh, it's happening again. Like I came to the future to stop this kind of thing from happening and it's happening again.
Yeah, like that's way more traumatizing than not being able to bond with your father.
Right. If they had used,
in my opinion,
if they had used that moment to explain the relationship Trunks now has to Vegeta, it would have made more sense, but it doesn't. I totally agree with what you're saying. Like, I get why Trunks is doing what he's doing, but I agree. It doesn't feel earned.
Yeah. So basically, Trunks says, I will use my power to defeat Cell, but I'm going to wait until Vegeta goes unconscious.
That's right.
Which is funny to me because he's just going to wait until Cell beats the shit out of his dad to the point where he goes unconscious, then he'll step in and save the day.
Which, you know what? Weirdly enough, that is totally a Vegeta thing to do.
You're not wrong.
If you think about it, if Vegeta was in that position and he was like, my dad can't see me surpass him, I'm just going to wait for my dad to fucking die. Like, that's totally a Vegeta move. So
it's great.
That makes sense.
So 16 tries to try something against Cell and Cell just is like, no. Like, don't.
It doesn't even attack him. He just says, maybe don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably don't.
But 16 is still there. That's the point of that scene. And Vegeta actually does try something.
Yeah.
Which is kind of, I really like this scene a lot.
This is one of those epic Dragon Ball Z scenes that would show up in all the techno remixes and shit. This is one of those fucking scenes.
Yeah. I'm glad I'm not the only one that listened to those. So Vegeta starts powering up and some really cool moments happen while he's powering up this new attack on Cell.
Yes.
To try to get one over on him. He's like, starts to power up. It's very loud. He yells. I can't remember if it's at Cell. I'm pretty sure it is, but it's really cool to hear the voice acting where it's like, it's not just them doing dialogue. Like he's actually yelling over his own energy blast, which is interesting.
Yeah. And you can hear in the yell itself, it's not just yelling to yell. It now feels like they're giving them direction when they're yelling. Like they're giving Christopher Sayboat, okay, it feels like you are summoning energy that you cannot fully control. Like they're giving them more to work with.
Yeah, like it's more polished production.
Yes. Yeah.
There was a lot of lines in the last sagas that did not.
No.
That could have sounded this good and just did not. So Trunks is like, oh man, he's powering up. He's going to do a great move against Cell. And Krillin's like, oh yeah, well, how about this? Vegeta's just lost his mind and he's going to fry us all. Because Vegeta up to this point has been so frustrated not being able to get anything against Cell in this new form. And you could see how somebody of Vegeta's egotistical stance would maybe just lose his mind. And it's like, okay, well, I'm going to tear myself apart. I'm going to tear the planet apart, but you're going to go down with it and I'm going to win. And so it's a little bit scary, especially because this is a pretty significant blast.
Oh, yeah. And as he's charging the thing, the sky is darkening and the clouds are moving faster and there's lightning arcing everywhere.
And he finally says it. Is this the first time he uses this move in the show?
It is.
He yells at the top of his lungs, Final Flash, which is a very famous Vegeta move for the first time used in the Cell Saga. And it cuts to the hyperbolic time chamber.
That moment, it was so fucking ruined by the ad break because he goes Final Flash and then like it jumps to the stupid ad break. And I actually there are not very many moments when I'm watching the show that in the middle of what I'm doing, I'll like stop and throw shit. And I think I had a drink of water and then my floor had a nice taste of my water. It was awful.
Yeah, it's absolutely terrible. We come back at the hyperbolic time chamber. Gohan and Goku are taking a lunch break. They have meat and Goku's like, could you grill this up for me, Gohan? And toss it up in the air. Gohan blasts it with an energy beam, which seems ill-advised because low and slow is the way to go with beef. And it explodes, as you can imagine. They burned their lunch and Goku's hair is on fire. And Gohan's trying to tell him like, hey, Dad, your hair's on fire. And he's not listening. And he's like, what did I tell you about controlling your energy? And it's so great. But man, speaking of tonal whiplash, this may be the most whiplash we've seen so far.
Yes.
Like I said, it just keeps getting more extreme.
Yes. And it would be so easy to make it just a little bit easier. You just wait to have Vegeta say Final Flash until after the moment. That's it. Like, it would be so easy to edit it and make it easier to handle, but they just didn't.
It's pretty funny. They cut to space, and it's not like a space shot where you can see Earth. It's like black and stars, and you assume that Earth is one of those tiny specks of white light. And you can see a little bright flash emanate from one of those stars. That's Earth. And so it's visible from light years away, this final flash. And somehow Vegeta does not destroy the planet.
Yeah.
But where Cell was standing is a giant cloud of smoke. And I naturally thought that this would be one of those moments where Cell steps out completely unharmed.
Yeah, you expect it.
Yeah, because we've been conditioned up until this point to see that. But as the smoke cloud clears, which takes a really long time, by the way, you can see Cell's face. He starts talking. The smoke vanishes. And then Cell is just half deleted.
He's a half a body guy, like 30 to 40% of his body from his neck down to his lower right hip, I guess, is deleted. Arm gone, chunks just erased. And it's
kind of grotesque. A little bit.
It looks like burnt. Like, it looks awfully gross.
But of course, Vegeta forgot about the Piccolo inside of us all. And Cell can regenerate using the Namekian cells. And that's exactly what he does.
Yeah.
So for a second, you think, oh, sweet. Yeah, Vegeta finally got a hit in. But then Cell's just like, bloop, and he has his arms and legs back. A couple of the shots for a few seconds after that, you can see like the line where his body used to be disintegrated that divides the new flesh and the old flesh, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. And so Vegeta falls into his I don't know what else to do and I have no other options attack, which is just throw blasts, like throw tons of blasts. That's what he does. Every single time he doesn't know what else to do and he wants time to either think or throw a tantrum. That's what he does.
And I love this because Cell doesn't get slowed down. He doesn't stop. He doesn't you don't see anything except Cell emerging from the blast wave that Vegeta creates. Cell doesn't even miss a step and just emerges from the blast and punches Vegeta in the face. He punches Vegeta in the face and then kicks him to the moon and then teleports where Vegeta is being blasted and shoves him back down to the planet with his elbow. And Vegeta hits the ground hard, does not move, and in fact depowers. His hair goes back to normal. You don't see his face. He doesn't move at all. He's basically dead, but he's gone unconscious. And we all know what that means.
That's the point that we're waiting for. It's the point Trunks needed.
So Trunks powers up. And did you hear the weirdness, the modulated voice that they gave him while he's powering up? It's kind of weird.
They do that.
They do that sometimes. Yeah. But I think this is the first human character, non-alien. I guess he's half sane, but whatever, that I've heard that sounds that weird. Anyway, the little hair tie holding his ponytail just flies off, which I thought was a little touch.
It can't handle it anymore.
Yeah. And Krillin just kind of gets hit by Trunks's energy wave as he starts to power up.
Yes.
And that's where the episode ends.
Well, I got a question before we move on to the next one. Did you feel any sort of catharsis from Vegeta getting his face punched inwards?
I think that they missed the moment where that could have been the most successful. There's definitely a certain amount of ha ha, Vegeta, got you. But at this point, Cell has been around for about an episode and a half without it happening. He's just sort of menacing and scary and creepy in a way that no other Dragon Ball villain has been up to this point. And so I kind of wanted Vegeta's Final Flash to work because Vegeta's the devil,
That is almost word for word what my note was. So I just wanted to ask if you had feelings on it. And yep, same. Cool.
So episode 163, the Japanese title is Save Your Father, Trunks' Fury, which scorches even the heavens. The American title is Saving Throw.
Sometimes it's just such an unnecessary mouthful of extra words.
I know, it's crazy.
Good God. My episode title is Someone Please Tape Krillin's Mouth Shut.
This episode made me dizzy. at the beginning.
What?
There's like 3 minutes of the clouds churning around the sky.
This, in my opinion, this is the weakest episode of the group that we watched.
I could see that.
I think it is most likely because, and I'm sure we'll talk about it more, I guess. I don't know. Let's talk about it now. Trunks yells for like 6
a long time.
Minutes. Like it was a lot of Dragon Ball Z yelling. And part of it feels like too much. Like, whereas we had Vegeta yelling and it felt like he was actually charging an attack he could barely hold the power of. This one, the voice actor for Trunks was probably just told to yell that he's charging.
Well, there's no like character-based reason for him to do it that way. It feels like a lot without the precursor of, oh my God, my father might be dead. It's like he was expecting it and then it happened and then he's just powering up. Like there's no surprise, there's no twist, there's no like heartfelt, like Goku said, you know, it comes from a need, not a desire. Mm-hmm. There was no need in that moment to be powered up. He was literally waiting for this to happen and it happened and then he started powering up. So the vocals coming from Trunks, they don't hit at all. There's no emotion behind him, in my opinion. When we're not there with Trunks in the moment either because we knew this was going to happen.
Right. And so it kind of sucks. Like I hate saying that. I especially hate that it's Trunks that it happens to because he's been such a pretty consistently solid character up until right about these episodes where it gets a little rocky.
Yep.
And this is just another like mark on the abacus. Why the fuck I used that of the abacus tally of maybe Trunks isn't the best. And I hate that. I hate that it's there, but it is. And it was grating. It was grating to listen to this.
Yeah.
I wanted to skip it. I've never actually skipped anything in our episodes before. I thought about just jumping to the part where he was done transforming.
And honestly, like I couldn't have blamed you because this episode is by and large filler. Like it's just pointless. We'll get into why exactly. But so Trunks powers up. He doesn't have eyes.
He doesn't have eyes. That's what I want to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
He just doesn't have eyes because that's how strong he is now. And it scares Krillin.
Yeah, it does. It freaks Krillin out, which is like, you know,
fair.
I'm totally on board with that.
I get it.
Trunks does not talk for a really long time until he's fully powered up. He finally kind of comes back to the Trunks that we all know and love, except his hair is a lot longer.
Yep.
There's a note of Vegeta's pride in his voice when he goes down to face Cell and says, I don't plan on losing. He actually gives Krillin the last of the sensu beans and instructs him to take Vegeta away back to Kami Island to heal up and escape without dying. And while he's distracting Cell by fighting him,
Krillin gets to do his real job, which is sensu beanbag. Like for the big fights, big fights, that's kind of his job. For everything else, it's knowing exactly where to be at the perfect time.
Yeah,
he is the perfect. I'm gonna move the story along guy.
He's the wingman.
Yeah,
you know? He's always there with a kind motivational word and gets you a sensu bean whenever you need one.
When you don't need a wingman and you need the front man, he is there holding the sensu bean. So that's what he's doing. His job is to go pick up Vegeta and take him the hell away from here.
We get a cool little side shot from 16, who has been effectively useless since Cell has finished transforming, unfortunately. Trunks goes down to face Cell, and 16's like, did that boy not see what happened to Vegeta? Which is great. I loved it. You could also see, like, this is the one shot where I noticed a lot of detail in the exposed brain of 16.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just a gray smudge. Like, you can kind of see exactly the intricate machinery on the inside, which is kind of fun. I just got a kick out of that shot, even though it doesn't last for very long. So
mid-roll shout out. I didn't have an explanation. Sorry.
I don't okay, I'm scared now, but I'll get through it.
You want to throw out some mid-roll shout outs. These are individuals that help support us on Patreon. We're yelling out your names in the middle of the episode. I have to get my list.
Axel
and Mackie Demo. Thank you so much for supporting us. We'll see you next time on the mid-roll shout out. Back to what you were saying.
If I can even remember So the fight starts between Trunks and Cell. They lock blows. I think they're like actually holding hands. I can't remember if that's this shot or not.
It eventually does happen for sure. If it's not now.
Well, and Krillin is as surprised as we are that Trunks is able to hold his own. Then we cut back to the hyperbolic time chamber. Chambler. The hyperbolic time chamber is a pretty cool place, and Goku and Gohan are there right now.
What is happening? What are you doing?
I don't know.
Did your notes like just become scribbles halfway through and you're like, shit, I gotta work off memory now.
I had my hands off home row and I didn't notice. Goku's like, training Gohan, obviously trying to get him more used to the Super Saiyan form.
Yeah.
And Goku can now like turn Super Saiyan with a little flick of his wrist.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those moments where I actually like the power creep of this show because it shows how far Goku's come, and it doesn't feel like they're just doing it for a narrative plot device.
Yeah.
It feels like they're doing it to show like, Goku's been training too.
Yes. Earned advancement.
This thing that took earned advancement. Thank you. Yeah, that's exactly what that is. So Gohan and Goku play hide and seek. Goku says, Gohan, catch me, do whatever it takes and try to get one over on me. And so they both go Super Saiyan and the game kicks off. Lasts a pretty long time, but Gohan is finally able to trick his own father by blasting him in the face and then teleporting above him and landing on Goku's head. And what's that called when parents do that for their kids? Piggyback ride?
Yeah, I think. Isn't piggyback when you're on somebody's back?
That's what I thought, but what is it when you're on the shoulders?
Is like saddle? Is there like a term for that? Dude, I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway, that's what happens and it's nice. The blast that catches Goku off guard actually also destroys the hyperbolic time chamber. Like a bit of it, like the clock falls down and
just chunks it.
Just kind of chunks. Some of the pillars crumble and Goku's like, well, at least you missed the fridge. We're probably going to have to clean this up before Mr. Popo sees, which is nice.
Just apologize. Like, what the fuck else is he doing? Isn't that his job? I don't.
No. They rebuild the whole goddamn thing, as you'll see in the next shot of the hyperbolic time chamber.
It's true. So we do cut back to the Trunks and Cell fight, which there's a fair amount of fight here. Actually, there's a fair amount of fight. We see the fight from Krillin's perspective.
I actually made a note by this. It's one of my favorite fights in the show because it's so uniquely shot.
Yes.
It's all from Krillin's perspective. Like, it is Krillin freaking out because these two incredibly powerful beings that probably shouldn't be on this planet are just exchanging blows and upsetting the atmosphere and the geology. And he's trying to follow it and he can't. Like, it's beyond his limits to figure out what the hell is going on. And we feel the same by proxy, which I really like. It's very well done.
It was so well animated, and they had the camera, the perspective pointed just in the right place, so where you really got a sense of it. This is beyond our range of capability to understand. Like, it's just past. Like, these are gods now, and they just are past us. But the fight goes on long enough, and it eventually sheds that perspective and shows them just fighting in regular DBZ form.
That's the point that I was like, okay.
Yeah. But it keeps going back to Krillin, who is not fucking getting Vegeta like he was asked. and he keeps having something to fucking say. And I still can't forgive Krillin for what happened a little while ago. And I don't necessarily like Krillin to begin with. So unless he's doing the things that I like Krillin for, like being plucky or holding sensu beans, then it just annoys me. And so it keeps going back to him. And he's like, wow, I've never seen anybody fight like this before. I'm like, just fucking get Vegeta. Shut up and get Vegeta. Yeah. And he's like that for the rest of the fucking episode. Seriously, my notes, anytime I have a note that says you idiot asshole, I know it's Krillin stuff. Okay, I'm done now.
There's a thing in Dragon Ball Z where you always have a peanut gallery. Every single big fight like this, you always have people on the sidelines, and you are always able to cut to them while they give a little bit of an audience surrogate dialogue to tell you what you're supposed to be thinking and feeling at that moment. I don't know if it's like an anime thing, like a culture thing, or if it's just particular to Dragon Ball Z, but it happens every single huge fight. Sometimes some characters get stuck in that role, and they're always more annoying when they're in that role. Usually it's Tien or Yamcha. Sometimes it's Piccolo or Krillin. Very occasionally, like Bulma gets in that role. Very occasionally is it someone as powerful as, say, Gohan or Vegeta or Goku, because usually they're the ones doing the fighting. Whenever it happens, it's annoying. And I wish that it would just be cut. This time it is Krillin. He's sticking behind solely to be the audience surrogate. And that's the only reason. In the fight between Cell and Trunks, Cell charges Trunks. I don't know if you caught this, but there's like a train noise. Like the sound effect of a train barreling down as Cell charges Trunks.
Yes.
That really caught me off guard. And then Cell punches Trunks just like Vegeta punched him. The whole like into the stomach, like the stretching of the torso kind of, it's a nice callback.
Well, the sound effect thing, they have been adding sound effects to all of Cell's moves. Like when he flies by, there's a buzzing sound or like a jet noise, which a lot of the flying is actually like a modulated jet engine takeoff noise. But Cell's is like a bugs mixed in with that. There's like a propeller plane, which sounds like wings beating of a bug mixed in with it. Some of the audio work is like really good. It's really good. And they did that with the train. That one was the most like weird one for me, but it's actually, and I might have talked about this before, so tell me to shut the fuck up if I have. That's a mixing thing. It's like an audio engineering thing where you add a real life sound that people will recognize mixed underneath something else to subconsciously give you a feeling of, for the train, its weight or speed or power. A lot of other things, they'll add like a tiger roar to an explosion. It's because your whatever monkey brain hears tiger sound and thinks bad, scary. And so when the explosion happens and you hear explosion plus tiger, you think bad, scary explosion. It's just a little weird trick. And I really appreciate that they're doing it. But sometimes it's like almost slapsticky kind of.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, I laughed. It got me.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's
some good insight.
It's nice. It's a lot of fun to see that they're doing unique things. And maybe they didn't even know that it's like a psychological thing. And they're just like, fuck it. It's hard like a train, bro. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's what they were doing. But it's so this fight is actually pretty, I wouldn't say it's even, but I would say Trunks is actually hitting Cell at least.
Yeah, there you go.
That's nice, right? That feels good.
Until Trunks just like totally eats it and goes down, which 20 seconds later you discover is on purpose so that Krillin can actually do his job.
Yeah.
So Trunks is taking the fall so that Cell can get a little cocky and be distracted so that Krillin can grab Vegeta. And he does. And he like tells Vegeta off in a way that I really wish that he would do to his face. It really annoys me when characters say what they're thinking in a way that like can never be heard or internalized by the character they're speaking to. And Krillin does so here with Vegeta. He says a lot of good stuff that I think that Vegeta actually needs to hear.
He does not have any right to be saying due to his own actions, but I agree that stuff that he says Vegeta needs to hear. Yes.
Somebody should be saying similar stuff to him, but also he's saying it to Vegeta.
It's like an asshole calling another asshole an asshole while the asshole's knocked out. And there's something just so fucking funny about that to me.
It's pretty good. I don't know. Yeah. But he says stuff like your son is the true hero and all that stuff.
Do you see him over there? He's a real hero. Like this is shit that Goku, I wish, would say to Vegeta. Yeah. Because it would feel right.
Yeah. We cut back to the fighting between Cell and Trunks, which is really cool because you can just see a little tiny speck of Krillin flying away to know that his mission was successful.
Yeah, finally.
Cell makes a dumb headstrong joke. And I don't remember what it was.
Well, no, thank you for not writing it down because I didn't either. There's a couple weird like throwaway pun things that I just don't even write down or commit to memory because it's part of the show. And
this episode in particular, just like it didn't seem worth writing down because I just wanted to kind of get to the end of it.
Exactly, yeah.
Because my last note of this episode literally is, and we end where we started. Trunks starts powering up. It's him versus Cell. No damage has been done. They're in the same spot. And this episode was entirely pointless.
The very end it cuts to Piccolo, who remarks as Trunks is powering up, I didn't want to believe it, but I guess there is a level beyond Super Saiyan.
Which we already knew because Vegeta had hit that a few episodes ago.
So... Yep, this whole episode was just, it was the 17 Piccolo fight of Perfect Cell. Like it didn't need to be here, really.
Yep, exactly. Next, we get to episode 164. Japanese title is A Future of Despair. Trunks, the man who lived through hell.
Ooh.
The American title is Ghosts from Tomorrow.
That's a really good title.
Both titles are actually really good.
Yeah, I like those a lot. It's better than mine, which is Trunks is a time-space Ouroboros. And we'll learn why. He's a snake eating himself.
The end is the beginning the end is the beginning.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we start with the last episode started, ironically, with Trunks powering up and he's facing off against Cell. And 16 says, I see now why the boy was not scared. So he's actually getting a decent power reading off of him. Chi-Chi tables Roshi. That's my next
Oh my God. So it's okay. We're at Kami House and the shit's straight up earthquaking, all of it. And it's because of Trunks powering up. Like the whole world must be, either 2 miles long or incredibly shaken up by Trunks. The whole world. Not that it matters because everybody's eaten by Cell mostly, I guess. I don't know.
It's like 1,000 people or something.
Yeah,
like that.
who even knows at this point? It's nebulous and never explained like most of Dragon Ball Z. So Master Roshi hits the floor during this, and from his position on the ground trying to brace himself, he looks up and can see Chi-Chi's ass. And he says, whoa, that's quite the view. And Chi-Chi, like, instead of just like kicking him in the face or spitting on him or calling the cops like she normally would, she takes an entire kitchen table and fucking flips it over and smashes him with it. It's one of the funnier Chi-Chi gets really back funny at Master Roshi moments.
The slapstick humor in that moment did it for me. I don't know why.
Same. Yeah, it's just really funny. I think it's good.
It's just good. They cut to Kami Tower and like lightning is even flashing around there from this epic battle that's going on down below. That's the only reason that I'm going to mention that scene, because like nothing else happens. And then we go to an extended flashback, one of 2 in this episode, to Trunks' past.
Yes.
Trunks basically goes internal monologue. I'm going to beat you, Cell, and I'm not going to let history repeat itself. And this is why. I didn't think that this flashback would go this long. And I don't know if there's a special about Trunks later on that we're probably going to cover called
The History of Trunks.
And it covers a lot of this stuff, but in the movie is way better from my memory. A lot more detail. But like, I don't know if they were planning on doing it at this point or if this
sparked it.
Yeah. Like people were just so interested in Trunks that they decided to do a full blown thing. But it feels like a little sample platter of stuff that we're going to see in the future. So you get to see the androids take over the planet really quick in Trunks' altered timeline. So you get to see them defeat Vegeta, Piccolo, Krillin, Tien, Yamcha, Yajirobe for some reason. The cool part about this flashback is like it's in depth. Like people are talking. There's actual scenes. It's not just over internal monologue. Like Gohan has a different voice actor. It's weird because he's an adult in this timeline. You get to see a battle where Trunks faces off against 18 and all he's able to do is cut off some of her hair.
She gets real pissed about that.
Gohan is there. Adult Gohan is fighting with Trunks against these androids. And you get to hear him do a Masenko as an adult, which I think was pretty cool. And so you just get to see like basically them failing.
Yeah. And the whole thing is tinted with this like yellow and red.
Oh, it's like nightmarishly colored and drawn in a different, like just surrealistic kind of way. Like it's not quite grounded.
I really thought it was going to be like a couple of frames. And then he talks over those frames.
It goes on a lot longer than you would expect.
It's strange. Like it's wholly animated and everything. It was crazy.
Yeah. Like they had to get, I don't know who did adult Gohan's voice, but they had to get another person to come in, or at the very least somebody that they had before to tweak their existing voice, but whatever. Then we come out of it back to the present and Cell's like, ha ha ha, I already know all this because I have a backstory too. And then it flashes back into Cell's where you get to see the Cell fetus in the tank. He was subjected to recordings of Dr. Giro his entire life as he grew up. You get to see the larva, like the actual skin that we found way back when, Bulma and Gohan and Trunks. You get to see that crawling around for a little bit. Interesting part when Cell is maturing and he's inside the tank, you can see the computer readout for a second and it says a couple times Cell, but it's SEL. It's not CELL. It's just SEL, which I thought was interesting.
I wonder if that is supposed to be Cell or if it's like short for selection or some other crap. I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea, but it was, I mean, it's a great coincidence.
Yeah, maybe I like the headcanon that Dr. Giro is this brilliant genius biogeneticist who can't fucking spell. Like that's why he has to use 17 and 18. Like if he had to spell it, it'd be
it's
like
just numbers.
CIVEN. Yeah.
I like that too. That's really good. So yeah, you kind of get hit over the head with, remember, Trunks is from the future, but Cell is from an even further future where Trunks has come back thinking he's saved the world. And then Cell kills him and goes back in time and starts changing things even more.
How did you feel about Cell's explanation here?
Specifically about what?
About his backstory.
I don't know what the point was.
This is kind of why I asked you.
Because we know he's evil. We've seen everything that he's done. And if you're following the show up to this point, like, why? Like, why show it again from his perspective? Like, you see Cell evolve into his first form. You see him absorb a few people. But like, we've seen all this before. So I don't understand. Like, you see humans trying to stop him with conventional firearms and things like that. Like, you just see a really fast version of his character establishment from 10 episodes back, and it was done better then. So
the whole point of this is the reveal that Cell got here because of Trunks' interference. Like, because Trunks ended up making the time machine and was successful in that timeline of going back and killing the androids or getting strong enough to find a way to kill them, and then he went back. That's what allowed Cell to even get here in the first place.
Yeah, that part's really cool.
It is. The idea of how it all connects is awesome, but they just don't stick the landing on the explanation.
No. Yeah, that's the part that I kind of had trouble with. So here's what they're trying to say. They're trying to say Trunks comes back from the future. He's more powerful now. He's trained, whatever. He's able to kill androids 17 and 18.
Yes.
Cell is born at some point after that, because he's been incubating for so long. Cell awakens knowing that Dr. Gero has said, go kill 17 and 18, become perfect, and you'll be the greatest creation ever. He's not able to because 17 or 18 are gone. Trunks killed him. Cell first form kills Trunks. He uses Trunks' time machine, which he used to defeat the androids in another timeline, to go back in time and absorb 17 and 18, who do exist, and become perfect. Therefore, if Trunks never would have built the time machine, Cell would have never got the chance to go back and do all this. So it is Trunks' fault that Perfect Cell exists at all, which is true and a cool little PTSD moment for Trunks. But if Trunks wouldn't have done anything, then everything that he grew up with would have come to pass and everybody would have died anyway. So it's like,
damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah, exactly. Which also could be cool. But yeah, I agree. They just it didn't hit emotionally the way that I think it should have or could have.
Yeah, the explanation was so weirdly matter of fact. Like, I don't even know how to explain how badly it was explained. It'd be like, okay, let's say you were explaining. No, because you understand how to stick those landings. So I can even use you as... Okay, it'd be like if a 6-year-old was explaining it.
Okay.
Instead of, leading up to the proper moment to give the proper context and actually using... They just go, okay, and so there's this weird bug man from the future, and if he wouldn't be in the future if Trunks wasn't here. It's like weird how badly they don't make this work in this version of Dragon Ball Z. Like, I'm sure in the original Japanese this might be fine, but in this one, like, Trunks hardly even reacts to this. He doesn't care. He's just like, well, I guess that just means I have to clean up my mess.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm going to make sure no androids survive. It
just doesn't work well, and it was a bummer. And that's why I'm talking about it this much, is because I really have liked all of this. Up till these 6 episodes, things got real rocky and weird. Like, I liked them, but it's like, this is maybe the most downward the whole androids and Cell arc has gotten.
Yeah, I think that they're trying... I don't know exactly what happened. It feels like they were going to go a certain way and wrap everything up. But A, Goku hadn't got the chance to be the hero, and B, they figured out that they liked Cell enough to do another season, and Perfect Cell hadn't gotten enough screen time. So they were like, okay, well, let's extend the Cell thing a little bit, not just have him be defeated.
Yeah.
So how do we do that? So they kind of had to, like, Trunks was built up really well over the course of the last saga and a half.
If Trunks had saved his power to this moment, the fact that he is stronger than Vegeta, and then revealed it here, and was able to defeat Perfect Cell, thus actually cleaning up his mess, it would have been like a perfect bow end.
Oh, dude, you could have done some really cool shit. Like have Trunks get beat the shit down, and then when he's on the ground, Cell's like, aha, this wouldn't have even happened if it wasn't for you building the time machine in the first place. And he's like, and then Trunks like lifts his head and he's just, well, good thing I'm here to clean up my own mess. And then he starts powering up, and he's like, I promised Father that I would wait until he had his opportunity to defeat you, but I'm going to do it now.
Yeah.
You could get some cool moments there, I think.
So much opportunity that I never would have imagined could have existed if they didn't fuck up the landing of that moment.
Yeah.
Like, weirdly enough, them fucking up that moment made me imagine alternative endings to this fucking saga that I never would have guessed about before. Strange, very strange thing, but okay. So that plot bomb gets dropped, and Trunks screams for another 20 seconds straight, I timed it, and beefs up even further.
Is this the part where his kneecaps like rupture? Because his thighs and his shins are so big.
So we've talked a fair amount about how some characters, when they beef up, look like they get a bike pump stuck in them.
Yeah.
This may be the epitome of bike pump power up. This he looks like a fucking cloud. He just looks so puffy. It looks like he has a problem. Like he needs to go to the hospital and they need to release the fluids that are building up around his muscles. So anyway, that's what is this form, the Ascended Super Saiyan, which I guess it's called Super Saiyan Grade 3 or something. I don't know. There's a term for it. Super Saiyan.
Oh, I like that one.
He's the Super Saiyan. So Trunks is now the Super Saiyan, super.
The Saiyan 64.
He's Saiyan Cube. He's Saiyan Cube now.
There you go.
The Saiyan boy.
Trunks the Saiyan boy
Genesis, and so they're now fighting each other, but it's apparent that Trunks, although extremely powerful, may not have as upper a hand as we are led to believe.
And we don't know exactly why. Like Cell's very, as he always is, very cool and calm and collected, and basically says, hey, you're not going to win. I know you're more powerful than me. It's obvious, but you're not going to win. And Trunks is like,
yes,
what?
This is his line. I wrote it down because I love Cell so much I would suck his tail. I must admit, you've exceeded me, at least in the area of brute strength. But you have absolutely no chance of defeating me. And his voice gets all low and stuff. And I'm like, God, the voice actor for this man.
Dude, Cell can ham it up in the best way. Perfect Cell is great. Like his actor is amazing. Yes,
that might be what sells it for me. Really. End the podcast now. We just stop it.
We have one more episode, my dude.
I know.
So we don't know why. We don't know why Cell said that, but we're about to find out in episode 165. The Japanese title is Super Trunks has a weakness. Cell's shocking bombshell declaration. I was going to say declarer, but that's not what it says. The American title is The Cell Games.
Ooh.
Yeah.
My title is Everybody Knows About the Vor, but nobody talks about this show's tournament fetish.
Dude.
And anime as a whole, like anime and manga, and maybe
tournaments don't happen that often in real life, man.
Maybe they fucking do.
Like basketball, I guess?
I don't know. Yeah, they have Little League basketball and regional basketball. Maybe tournaments do exist all over the place. We just don't pay attention because we're plebs. That's a good point. I don't know.
That's a good point.
It's a whole genre thing.
Yeah, it's weird for so many reasons, but we'll get into it. Cell and Trunks fight some more. That's how this opens.
Yeah.
Up, and Trunks' muscles do indeed get way too big.
Gross.
Vegeta and Krillin end up on a random island together.
Aw.
A little slice of paradise.
Love Island.
Because Vegeta stirs as Krillin's got him slapped over his shoulder. Mm-hmm. He decides to land and get Vegeta up and running again.
Just got to work the crank and get him up and running.
Gives him a little Saiyan cell.
Saiyan massage.
Sensu bean.
Oh.
Saiyan massage.
Yeah, Sensu bean. Is that where you like rub the tail a little bit? Or?
Uh-huh. And it's very sensual and nice. A sensual bean, if you will. And Vegeta's pissed off.
He only says one thing, though. Cell. He just says cell. And that's it.
Oh, and then we cut to Kami Tower, this is my favorite thing.
Yes.
Piccolo and Tien are talking. They're like, oh man, Trunks is powered up. Oh man, Cell's gonna beat him. Oh no, this is crazy. And Bulma's like, could you just talk in English, please, for once?
Yeah. A little play-by-play for those of us. Yeah, did it. A little play-by-play for those of us in the cheap seats would be appreciated, is what she says.
Yeah. And Piccolo says, he just turns around and yells at Bulma, Trunks is big and strong, all right? And that's it. That's the explanation.
Yes.
I
She picks up her son, like the Trunks. Baby Trunks is like, yes, you are. I knew that. It's real good. Some of the levity is just
good.
It's good.
We cut back to the hyperbolic time chamber where Goku is impressed with Gohan Does Gohan say like, you got to power up too, Dad?
Oh, yeah. So the way it's working is Gohan is fighting the air and Goku is just sitting there meditating almost.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
In Gohan's head, he thinks, my dad's just been sitting there for days. It must be really hard to ascend to the next level. Goku breaks his silence, stands up and says, Gohan, watch me. And then he goes Super Saiyan, charges up for like 4 seconds. 4 seconds, Trunks. Where the fuck are you? And then Goku does the form that Trunks is at. Or actually, he ascends to Ascended Saiyan, like Trunks and Vegeta have done. And then he says, I could go one step further if I wanted to. And that's when he does what Trunks is doing.
Which is really cool, actually. A different time, different place, but there's a nice parallel between Goku and Trunks. Obviously, there is a very good reason for us, the audience, because Gohan's like, wow, Dad, you're so big and strong now. I bet you can beat Cell, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
And Goku's like, not really, son. This new form has a weakness. And then we cut back to Cell and Trunks.
Then we cut back to the Cell and Trunks fight and figure out exactly how exploitable that weakness is, because Trunks cannot hit Cell. He is just too bulky, which should be very fucking obvious. But he can't. And so Trunks starts getting verbally and physically schooled by Cell because of his lack of grace. Like Cell is like, I don't know why you thought that bulky form would be able to touch my perfect body. And it cuts back to Goku, who just explains that again in more words again.
Yeah. So it's you have more power, but you lack speed. Yeah. That's all it is. It also is revealed here that it takes energy to maintain transformations back in the hyperbolic time
it takes
chamber.
A lot of energy just to do them even.
Yeah, and it's wasted, right? It's just wasted on achieving that higher form. So Goku wants him and Gohan to just try to normalize it. Like make going Super Saiyan just like brushing your teeth.
Yeah, they want to make Super Saiyan their base form. Like they sleep as Super Saiyans. They just live their lives as Super Saiyans so that their base strength level is Super Saiyan, meaning that anytime they get higher than that, what they would be achieving in their base form as Super Saiyan, since their base form is Super Saiyan, the plan is that next level won't be ridiculously unachievable. Like it's a really smart plan, honestly.
Yeah, it's weirdly tactical for Goku.
Yeah.
We cut back to Cell and Trunks, and Cell's like, dude, if I wanted to do the power, like the form that you're doing right now, Trunks, I totally could. And then he just does it.
He just does it just to show off. Like Cell is now beefcake creepiness.
Yeah.
And it's way creepier on Cell. I don't know why.
It's really creepy. And Trunks is like, oh shit. I really like the power scaling in these last few episodes solely because it feels like more now than ever that our characters are just playing with shit that they don't understand.
Yeah.
Like they're just trying everything that they can to beat this thing and they don't know what they're doing. Like they're using the magical abilities and they don't understand the consequences.
Yes. That's exactly what it feels like. Like I have a lot of problems with power scaling, which I get it. It's Dragon Ball Z. You can't, or you'll go insane.
Yeah.
And I have a couple times. You've been there. Welcome to Eric K's Dragon Ball Z. But one of my favorite things that Cell says is, this is a very simple concept to understand. Even Vegeta got it. Why can't you? In that moment, the whole facade of I'm stronger than my father, I could do this is shattered. And he just drops Super Saiyan form, head down, arms down, Charlie Brown sad walk home. He floats to the ground and it's wow. Honestly, just even giving up like that for a son of Vegeta must be so fucking shameful. Like it must hurt so much more than just dying to Cell.
He's defeated by words. It's kind of great for Dragon Ball Z. It's a nice little twist. Back on the Paradise Island, Vegeta and Krillin talk some more, and Vegeta's like, they sense that Trunks is powered down. They don't know exactly what happened to Trunks, but they do still feel Cell. And Vegeta's like, fine by me. I'll take him. Flies off, so and Krillin and Vegeta head back to the fight because Vegeta somehow, I don't understand the logic there, but they just get back. They fly back.
There is none. Like I've decided a long time ago with Vegeta, you can't apply reasoning to the things that he says because there is none. It's just you have to put yourself in his headspace, which is I'm the best. No one can defeat me. And then as soon as he gets defeated, he just chooses to not believe that happened. That's it.
Yeah, it's a very immature way to be, but it is like an acceptable character trait. But anyway, Cell wants to know if Trunks could get stronger with time. He's like, how did you do this in such a short amount of time? But also you're not powerful enough to beat me. So what would happen if I gave you more time?
Yeah, interesting question.
Trunks is like, I don't know.
And he says, maybe?
Yeah, he's like, Cell's like, and also, where has Goku been? It's like Cell's accent. He says bean. And Trunks kind of explains to him that there's a space where, they can train. I don't think he out and out reveals the hyperbolic time chamber, just that there's a spot where they go. They've been training.
He says he'll beat you, no contest. And Cell must have misheard. Maybe he
don't know why
ears. And he he goes, oh really? A tournament, you'd say? Let's have a contest.
No contest.
What the fuck? This part also is such a weirdly explained thing. Okay, here's the order of operations. Here's how it goes. He'll beat you, no contest. Cell says, oh, really? A tournament? What? Okay, and then it cuts to Piccolo Tower, or Kami Tower, where Piccolo's on it, and Piccolo says, Cell's talking about having a tournament. And then it cuts back to Cell, who's like, the tournament will begin in 10 days. So they don't establish this is actually a real thing. They do such a bad job of explaining what's fucking going on.
I really feel like they got to the end of the season. They were like, wait, we don't want anybody to beat Cell yet.
They just got to rush through the ending.
How do we get him to stick around for longer? So he's just like, then a tournament. There was a thing called the World Martial Arts Tournament. I'm going to revive it in 10 days. Gather your team, whoever you want, and we'll see who can beat me, if anybody. And everybody is very reasonably confused by this development,
because it's just out of fucking nowhere.
It doesn't make any sense. The only explanation that kind of makes sense is he says, I simply want to get as much out of this planet as I can before I destroy it. Okay.
Yeah.
But a tournament, why don't you just kill Trunks and then go absorb everybody?
Yeah.
I guess the ego from Goku and Vegeta from fighting and enjoying fighting and finding a better opponent is shining through here more than, but there's no explanation. It's a heel turn, cliffhanger.
It's so strange. The writing for all of this and the pacing has been so well done right until this part. It's just starts getting so confusingly strange.
Yeah. Cell does seem like the kind of bad guy that could have enough honor to not just want to wipe out a planet instantly. He seems like, but there's been no indication up to this point that that's what he wants.
Okay, all right, let's just sit here and speculate for a minute, because I have to, or I might die if I don't share it with somebody else that also understands my confusion. So what the fuck is Cell's end game? Why is his whole goal, right, was to absorb the androids and become perfect. And he says this in his flashback, to defeat Dr. Giro's enemies. Those that's what's programmed in his brain. To defeat my enemies. That is his programming. Minus the fact that we've seen the other androids resist against their programming, sometimes our actions, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's say Cell is not like that. He is a Dr. Giro perfect creation, has free will, but is bound by this programming. Okay, so he gets to destroy Dr. Giro's enemies, and then
maybe that's it. Maybe he felt like he fulfilled the conditions of defeat by simply getting both of Vegeta and Trunks to depower when they were the most powerful fighters on the planet. And he's like, oh shit, I'm having a midlife crisis all of a sudden.
Oh my God, that's exactly what this seems like.
What do I do?
It seems like he's having a midlife crisis and he's got to buy a fucking Ferrari, which is host a tournament.
Yeah, I can't destroy the planet because then I'll literally have no one.
Oh my God, that is way too perfect. The Dragon Ball Z midlife crisis equivalent is hosting a tournament. That's almost way too perfect to not be the actual explanation.
It's the only thing I could think of.
That must be it. Holy fuck, that's so good. That should be the title of this episode. Dragon Ball Z or Cell has a midlife crisis, something. God damn, dude. It's God. I thought I would feel really good at the end of this saga, like I did the androids one, and I just
it wasn't a great ending.
I'm confused.
Yeah, I want there's the last shot of the entire season is Trunks just looking confused, and I'm like, yes, that's exactly how I feel right now. Nice job, show. So I think that they get it. It's weird. It's very weird. Yeah, no shocking revelation, just a weird heel turn into a new plot that I'm oddly looking forward to.
Yeah.
I like tournaments. I think they're a fun plot device where you get cool one-on-ones with certain characters and fun dialogue and actual reason for people not being able to fight.
You would if this tournament was everyone fights Cell.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is like, why are they abiding by the rule? I guess.
Yeah, it's not even a tournament. Okay, yeah, we'll get into it. You're right. We can't.
Oh man! Next time, hopefully, time permitting, we will get to the Eric Hates the Cell Saga, where we will review the last few episodes with Eric, and then move on to the Cell games. We'll get into all that next time on Eric Hates Dragon Ball Z.
Thank you for listening to Eric Hates Dragon Ball Z. What? I wanted to do it this time.
No, go for it. Yeah, go for it.
Well, now I don't want to. Thank you for listening to Eric Hates Dragon Ball Z. You might hate the show, but he loves that you're listening. If you enjoy what we're doing, you want to let us know about it, feel free to hit us up. Mail, MAIL, at ehdbz.com. You can also find us on Twitter under the handle at EricHatesDBZ. We love to hear from anybody. Fans, your parents, whatever, your neighbors, I don't know.
Please have your parents contact us.
Oh my God, please don't, because they will yell at me. Why do you say the F word so often? Because, listen, all right? You're kidding. I'm just kidding. This is all getting cut out anyway, so that doesn't matter. Oh, we have an Instagram also.
Eric Hates Dragon Ball Z.
Thank you.
All one word.
If you do enjoy what we're doing with this podcast and choose to support us, you can check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/Eric Hates. Nope, it's patreon.com/EHDBZ.
We have a bunch of tiers and rewards for each one. Things like bonus content, deleted scenes, a couple bonus episodes that we're working on. We have goals, one in particular for doing the Dragon Ball live action movie, which was met on Ko-fi, our old donation platform.
Mm-hmm.
We recently got the goal on that one. So while it is still listed on Patreon, I think we're going to go ahead and pull the trigger on that one. We will be doing, thanks to your generous contributions, the World's Finest and the Dragon Ball Evolution.
The World's Strongest, I think it's called.
The World's Strongest? Yeah. World's Finest? What's World's Finest?
Is that like a wine drinking show that you're into or something?
I hope so.
I don't know what that is.
Anyway, the next Dragon Ball Z movie.
Yeah, we have to do John Hates the MCU. We have to do an episode of that now, which cool.
I'm so looking forward to it. We're going to figure all this out. The support that we got right out of the gate was very surprising and very welcome. So we're still kind of fumbling our way through scheduling all this, but rest assured it is coming.
In addition to all that other content, we also would like to say the names of our patrons at the end of the episode of the podcast. So thank you to Axel, Mackie DeMo. We have Leah Joy. And we also have, I guess his name on Discord is Chi-Chi is Worthless. So
that's good. That seems more thematically appropriate.
Does that work? We also have Felix.
Thank you all so much for donating to our crazy little podcast.
Yes, thank you very much. If you want more entertainment from our team, check this out. Whatever else we do. What the fuck? Tales of Nowhere is a tabletop RPG podcast where we take one cast of characters from multiple games and rule sets and tell one epic story. It's on season 2. There's a whole first season you can binge. Music is me on Burn 7 on SoundCloud. Perfect. Can that count as our pun?
Yeah. We also did a pretty good one earlier.
That's true.
I can't remember what it was, but
it's really selling me on it. But I think we did that too. Probably. I don't know. So it might be a little hyperbolic, but if you give us a little more time in this chamber, maybe we can evolve into something better.